So, nighttime talks about ghosts and ghouls and spirits in spooky season. This first late night chat is about a very personal story, a ghost that has lived rent-free in my head for over 50 years. The ghost of the Blue Lady. The Blue Lady was a ghost that I was terrorised with stories of from as little as I can remember, a 3-year-old, up to the age of 7, when I lived in the Black Country in Old Hill, quite close to Haden Hill Park. Now, Haden Hill Park, I took my kids there at the start of the summer holidays this year to visit, to show them the park that their mom can remember visiting as a little baby. I have memories of the duck pond in the park and feeding the ducks and being held on baby reins to stop me falling into the pool. That's how far back my memories go of this park. In the middle of the park there is Haden Hill House, Haden Hill Hall. In the time that I was there visiting the park every single week as a little girl, that was between 1968 and 1975, so it was pre this house being ravaged by fire in 1977. It was boarded up, it was closed, it was not open to the public, and it terrified me. I grew up as a very young baby with tales of the Blue Lady. My brother and sister would chase me in the dark pretending to be the Blue Lady. They would jump out on staircases, making me fall down the stairs more than once pretending to be the Blue Lady. The Blue Lady was my childhood ghost that was said to live in the house at Haden Hill. When we moved to the Welsh borders when I was 7, the Blue Lady came with me in my head, and she's never left. If you had me name any ghost, my ghost is the Blue Lady, and yet I'd never done any research. I didn't even know if the story was even real, or whether it was a figment of my siblings' imagination to terrorise me. So when I visited the park this summer and realised that now the hall and the house is open to the public a few days a week, I knew there and then that I needed to go back and ask questions about the Blue Lady. And that's exactly what I did. I took my old Avon bottle perfume, which still smells of childhood scents of cheap perfume, even though this bottle's been washed many times. I took my own Blue Lady with her scent of childhood, 6 of Cups nostalgia, and I returned to Haden Hill Park to find out, was she real? Could I connect with her? Could I find her story? And could I find out why she lived in my head rent-free and had never left me? This is the story of finding the Blue Lady, or as I was soon to find out, Eleanor and the monk. What's that? Returning this week was a wild mix of excitement, anxiety and insane amounts of curiosity. This whole place a doorway into the room of my past. Everywhere so familiar. My key memories are this duck pond statue that you can see in front of you here. Also the windows of the house and a set of steps somewhere in the grounds that would return in my dreams over and over in the last 50 years. But overriding all of that, the dread of this house, still there like a soul shake. I couldn't believe I was actually going inside today. So this is a tale of 2 buildings. We have this Victorian house, Haden House here, next door to a much older Haden Hall, the Old Hall, sometimes called the Tudor Hall, built in the late 1600s. The plan had been for the new owners to build the other half of Haden House. Only half the house has been built due to the aunt living in the hall. Plans were to rip down the old hall when she died, but she was long-lived and it never happened. So, luckily for us, the old hall, Haden Hall, still stands. Today I didn't capture much footage inside the old hall. We didn't realise it closes 3 hours earlier than the main house. So after having a tour with a tour guide who recognised me because I now look so much like my own mother, he then informed us that they were closed and I couldn't go back and film, only snippets of rooms that I felt energy in. More to come of that, but for now let's enter Haden Hall, the Tudor Hall. Is this place haunted? Does the Blue Lady even exist, was my main burning question. Oh, that's Eleanor, everybody chimed together. The story goes that Eleanor was a local mill worker related to the Hadens. She fell in love with a local monk, meeting secretly for walks along the river, until the fateful day when her brothers found out. Terrified, the monk ran to Eleanor at the mill, begging to be hidden. Knowing that their love affair would be severely punished, Eleanor and the monk raced to her uncle's house to attempt to hide in the maze of cellars there, but her brothers intercepted them both on the way there. From here, the tale has two endings. One ending that we were told from this love-torn tragedy was that both Eleanor and her monk were dragged to the cellars and bricked up in the walls and left to die. Another ending tells that the monk was taken away to a secret tunnel somewhere on the grounds and alone was bricked up. As with most ghost stories, this story has no written factual basis, but the story remains fueled by strange moans from the upstairs floorboards at night, banging inside the walls, and a monk's voice shouting, "Forgive me." Also, footsteps regularly heard running up and down the stairs, sometimes accompanied by the apparition of disembodied feet. This the ghost of the monk. But where was Eleanor? Where was she? Where was my Blue Lady? My heart stopped when our tour guide said this.
And if you walk around the park, if you know them steps,
I know them very well.
that is where the Blue Lady, Grey Lady or White Lady appears.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I have been in here at 5 o'clock in the morning, walking my dogs many years ago, and I have seen a blue mist come up them steps. No. And I said to myself, I know who you are.
Yeah.
That's where she's supposed to appear, up them steps.
Okay. Wow.
And that's the story of the Eleanor and the monk.
The tour guides there were fantastic, actually. Very keen to emphasise that this is purely just a story. It felt like they are not promoting the ghosts within the hall, but are very, very protective and loving of the history. We were then informed that actually the hall was now closed and I couldn't go back and refilm, but I begged to be allowed to go back up the one staircase that leads to this hall room upstairs, because this was a room where I felt really weird. Relenting, the tour guide told me that I could, but just that one room. At this point I didn't realise that it was this staircase and this room where the main phenomena of the house is. This is the staircase that feet are seen running up and down. The hall is where moaning is regularly heard. All I knew at this point, as I exited a now closed building, was that I too thought I'd heard some moaning on those stairs. Here is the video of me entering that room alone, untouched, unedited. See if you can spot the strange noises that just didn't fit. I'm going to replay that footage again. I was on my own in the rooms at this time, and at this time we hadn't been told about the moans and the footsteps in this room. When I returned, I heard 3 noises. Well, I only heard 2. I heard the first noise really clearly. It just didn't seem to fit. I didn't hear the second noise, and I definitely heard the moan. So with the old hall now closed, me and my ghost hunting partner Poppy, my middle daughter, we wandered next door to look around Haden House, which we both agreed had a completely different feel. My mind was actually still reeling from what we'd found out. The fact that Eleanor was real, but also it was all so tragic. My mind also blown by the fact that the steps, what I thought was just a memory of steps in the grounds, actually featured so strongly in this whole story. For me, there are no coincidences in moments like this, and as our guide held up a picture of the same steps that had lived inside my mind and my dreams for over 50 years, I felt my whole body cover in goosebumps, a cold chill. I felt the Blue Lady, Eleanor, right next to me in that moment. So, therefore, we knew that we had to go and explore the grounds before we left. The grounds, whose incredibly tame squirrels we were told were also joined by blue and white mists floating over the lake at the base of these steps, regularly spotted. This was Eleanor's garden. And exploring the park, an inner sat-nav of the earliest childhood memories that my mind contains seemed to beckon me through the grounds. My conscious mind had no idea or recollection of where the lake or the steps were, but my subconscious seemed to own an inner compass of knowing, and so on this beautiful October morning, with light streaming through the leaves that are just turning to autumn colours, we walked the paths that I had once played on when I was just a toddling baby, and we got led directly to the lake. The lake where misty apparitions are seen hovering, and then to the steps where the Blue Lady is spotted. And it's at the very top of these steps, sitting on the wall, that I decided I must pull out my tarot cards and see if I could find a way to connect with Eleanor, the Blue Lady. My first question was a simple "who is here?" I wondered whether Eleanor or perhaps the monk would come out, or a card that talked about both of them still being here. And to my amazement, the card that came out in the shuffle was indeed a 2 of Pentacles. 2 joined together, but more than that, within an infinity symbol, with yin and yang, male and female in the card, life and death. The guidebook tells me that in alchemy, this card is the sun and the moon linked together by a dragon. This amazed me because all over the grounds there are dragons, like this dragon sculpture in front of the house, and dragons on the rebuilt benches designed from this early photograph. And of course the Two of Pentacles is the card historically that the maker's name would be written on, and Eleanor had the name of the Haden. She was linked with the family. I think this is a really clear sign that this is Eleanor with her monk, joined together in infinity, stuck here, looked down upon by dragons, the sun and the moon combined. The next question was, what happened? And for me, the King of Wands is a really important card to come out. I've often joked about how rude this King of Wands card looks, and in my mind I've always linked this to lust. The card is titled Valraven, a Raven King reborn in fire. Valraven was a man with hot, energetic nature, hard to control, possibly dangerous, the guidebook tells us. Is Eleanor here saying that she couldn't resist the man with this energy? Or perhaps this is an explanation of the way the two of them felt about each other. They couldn't control it, even though it was dangerous. The next question I felt compelled to ask was, what did they do to you? And I pulled out the Dagon card. Dagon, a god of both fire and water, goat head and fish tail. A card that we're told in the guidebook suggests the unconventional, the unexpected happening, the startling and seemingly irrational event, but with an underlying consistency of energy. Emotions of water and the punishment of fire by those with greater power, this card implies. Power dynamics are always consistent, allowing the irrational and the unexpected and the startling to happen. Poor Eleanor. From this card I feel that she just didn't expect the worst to happen. The next question was a heart-stopping, where are you now? To try and get to the truth of those two story endings, one I was told today and one I've since found in research, and I couldn't believe the card I pulled. The Three of Swords, but look at the imagery on this. It looks like a figure locked away in a cell, possibly in between the walls of a house. Could this be the monk imprisoned in isolation, walled up and left to die? I noted there was only one figure there. His sorrow and heartbreak, trying not to look at the three bloodied swords in front of him, mirroring reports that sometimes voices are heard whispering, forgive me from inside the house walls. The last question I asked is there anything that you want known? This asked to either Eleanor or the monk, and as I shuffled I felt certain that the connection between the two of us might unfold itself within this question. So, is there anything you want known? Two cards came out, the Hanged Man and the Seven of Pentacles. The Hanged Man, could this be implying that the monk was hung before he was bricked up? Or what I feel it's telling me is that they're still here, hanging around, locked in the silent suffering and the life on hold consequences of their love. And again we see despair in these cards. They lost it all. On the Seven of Pentacles we see the key word failure, the failure of their quest, of their love affair. The guidebook says that the Seven of Pentacles means a death period of inertia. Wow, it goes on to say lost opportunities, abandonment and deceived hope. And wow, with the words abandonment and deceived hope, the role of Eleanor's brothers suddenly confronts me, the cruelty of it all, and in a flash I understand what this strange connection between me and Eleanor is. It's the betrayal of siblings. I know this. Siblings who wish you dead. I know this too. And in a flash, a memory of my own siblings laughing as I tumble backwards, head over heels, down the stairs, them still holding torches under their chins in the darkness, laughing and chanting, "Ooh, the blue lady," as I plummet comes into my mind. Has Eleanor, my blue lady, been a warning voice all of these years? Not the terror that I thought she was, but actually the warning voice coming in. There is a saying that it's not the dead we should fear, but the living. Has this been Eleanor's message all along? I took Eleanor's bottle and I filled her up with water from the grounds of Haden Hill. I then took this bottle and began to dig in the soil where I was sitting to collect the soil, and as I did, I heard a chink. A coin, an old pound coin, had landed in the bottle too. This almost felt like a confirmation that I had uncovered some sort of treasure, some knowledge, some treasure meant just for me. It just seemed uncanny that where I should lay my hand without even looking to scrape the soil, that there should be a coin there. Incredible synchronicities. And as I always say, I don't believe in synchronicities in moments like this. So I really do feel like I found the blue lady, I discovered her story, I met Eleanor and her monk. We told the spirits that we were sorry about what had happened to them and that we were so pleased to have met them. And then as we walked back to our car past these magnificent old stables, we discovered a more modern sculpture to give us pause and to allow us a moment to smile amidst the tragedy. And isn't that what life is all about? We also searched around the back and found this vent, a link down to a cell, a holding cell that was underneath the house all these years. Who knew that there was a prison in the cellars, as well as possibly other more terrible things? So guys, thank you so much for watching my first ghost hunting with tarot video. I have more to come, including an incredible visit to Aston Hall to share. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, like and subscribe and join me again for more adventures. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.